Hello there. Hello. Hi. And hello.
Hello.
It's people.
Yee.
Yes.
It's a Christi and a Ragdoll. Yes. So welcome to the stream. We have a stream going. This is unsurprising. It happens quite a lot. But today we have a stream unlike any other, inasmuch as we're going to be using wikis we haven't used before. So
I'm sorry about my dog being a brat in the background.
that's
Again.
fine. Dogs be dogs. That's not a bad thing. Yeah. So here we are. Here is Tamagotchi, Cookie Puss, Philippe, Cat, Porfo, and other friends.
Yeah.
Which is the best way to start off a stream, as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, people tend not to concern me in these matters. So there we are. Yeah, with more wikis, more wiki nonsense. I really should put more planning and emphasis into these opening minutes of the stream. This is where you lose people, you know. It's like people try, I'll check out this VOD, see what it is. And then if you haven't impressed them in 30 seconds, they're off, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Thankfully, I always jump into middle of streams.
Okay, so exactly halfway through this stream, we've got to go really high energy. That's
Yeah.
just absolute enthusiasm.
So much enthusiasm.
Yeah. So, as has been noted before, Chibi, alas, is not here with us because Chibi is in the hospital. But hopefully they're doing all right. Yeah. So what wikis have we got? I know one of them. And it's not mine.
It's because you still haven't rolled for yours.
Exactly, yes.
So, I pulled the Animaniacs wiki,
Ooh.
and I'm cheating a little bit. I've already rolled some random pages, and then I'm going to randomly pick from the ones that I've rolled. Because I found out that despite the fact that, like, oh, there's like 1,000 pages here, a lot of them are the lyrics for every single song in the Animaniacs short.
That makes sense.
Yay.
And it's like, okay, that's not a character. So I've pre-rolled until I hit some character pages, and then I'm going to randomly select from the character pages that I've rolled.
That's fair.
I've done that too.
Marvellous.
And it's James Bond wiki.
James Bond. We got Animaniacs, James Bond. Let's see if we can finish off this triumvirate with something equally disequal. Sure. Stargate. Why not? We have Stargate.
Okay, so basically all of the furries are coming from my wiki.
Well, I mean, there have been some furry things in Stargate, so maybe not. Yeah, Stargate. I don't know if this is just SG-1. No, I got something from Atlantis, so evidently not. Yeah, okay. That was a 2, by the way. I rolled a 2. So it could have gone either way. It could have gone, if it was a 1, it could have been Red Dwarf, and if it was a 3, it could have been Charmed. So you never know.
That's one I was thinking. Red Dwarf, I was going to ask you, is it going to be like that sci-fi thing you were talking about? But that could have been so many things.
It could have been Stargate. Could have been.
Yeah.
Red Dwarf. I think they're the only sci-fi things I have on here. But unless you count Codename Kids Next Door as sci-fi, I don't really. I think they go to the moon at one point, but that's not the point. Right, yes. Okay, cool. Who wants to draw first? Because Chibi isn't here.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah? Do you want to go first? Okay, well, given that Ragdoll is prepared, Ragdoll can give you a prompt. Oh, I've got to get rid of Philippe. Goodbye, Philippe.
I don't know. We could just keep him in the corner and like stare at all of the.
Yeah.
Could do. I'll bring him up if there's anything that needs to be judged. So probably during mine.
Okay, so Christi, you have Julia, who is formerly known as J37 and Julia Brain. who is a genetically altered laboratory mouse and the ex-wife of the brain.
Aww.
Oh.
So Pinky and the Brain started as a short as part of the larger Animaniacs, and it got and it got so popular that it sort of became its own show as well. And this wiki appears to also have the Pinky and the Brain stuff in this wiki as well. So Julia is from specifically the Pinky and the Brain cartoon. She's a brunette, and she wears a green business suit. She has an ear tag attached to her right ear and electronic chip in the other. So one of the Brain's things is he's like trying to take over the world, and apparently at one point that does involve essentially running for president with his now ex-wife on his side. So that's fun. Her personality is basically got a bunch of like first lady elements throughout history shoved into her. So that's fun.
What was it? A tag on one ear and what on the other?
An electronic chip. So she's a lab rat, so she's been chipped.
We're gonna do the doodad thing. That's a chip. Not a chip, but a chip.
It's a rectangle with squiggles. That's all a chip is.
Yeah, I mean, all depends on what you're putting on it.
Seem to remember it's these kind of eyes.
Yeah, I guess I've seen a lot of them, but I probably couldn't draw the style of Pinky and the Brain from memory.
Oh, right, she's female, so she needs to be sultry.
Sultry, the mascara, probably a bow somewhere.
Eyelashes.
She's got to have makeup. She was in the lab where they were testing makeup on rats.
At least there is.
Real.
At least there's a reason. It's better than nothing. I just did a random.
I don't know what lab.
Sorry.
Always eyelashes.
I remembered checking the Stargate wiki to see if it had good stuff on it, and it did. But I have tried a few pages at this point, and the most interesting thing I found is February the 16th.
Oh, so... that's not good.
If you want to know something about February the 16th, it is apparently the 16th day in February.
Oh, wow.
Just in case.
I mean, yeah, I should hope so. That's usually how the names of those works.
Oh, be quiet, Windows. Windows making noises, honestly.
Oh, that makes more sense. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Very nice eyes. I like how we've got sort of ears and eyes first.
Starting from the top.
You could do all the details of the eyes before you even finish the shape of the head. That's how it's done.
Oh, this is a fun detail. So apparently her motif is an inverted version of the Pinky and the Brain theme. So they've made her the opposite of the Brain in pretty much every way, including musically.
Interesting. So she needs to not look like the Brain.
Delete. Now all that remains is eyes.
The eyes are the window to the soul.
She was just floating eyes.
I mean, the eyes are perfect. So
this is a cartoon. She's just run off screen, but the eyes have stayed where they are, and they're going to ping back at some point. That's That's how that works.
I mean, not Looney Tunes. Animaniacs is one of those cartoons where stuff like that happens, so why not? And of course, having the tag on her ear, it does make it look like she's got like fancy earrings on as well. So
A Chib.
Fancy mouse.
And Chib has arrived.
Chib!
Hello, Chibi. We've started with animals.
Yes, that's a good point. I forgot about that. We have already started with an animal. Wonderful.
We have a sexy mouse in your honor.
Hooray.
I'm sure you feel very honored. I'm here to watch you guys draw furries.
So honored. How you doing? You alright?
Oh, you guys are just still so good.
What are the wikis? We have... Oh, after you.
No, it's your program. You take over.
My program. I fought for years to get the producers to accept this on their schedules. Well, yes, this is from the Animaniacs wiki, which is Ragdoll's. Christi has James Bond, which we have yet to get to, and I have Stargate. So we have sci-fi, spy-fi, and don't know enough about the Animaniacs to make a joke there.
Well, it's a parody of basically everything, so...
Yeah. And all of the above...
in this case, yes, it is Wi-Fi. Because we've got Brain's ex-wife. Because apparently he has an ex-wife.
Who would have thought it? Bit nauseous, but fine. Oh, it's an improvement, I guess.
Do they always have lipstick in old cartoons? I don't remember.
Only when they do that cartoon big smooch thing and the lips sort of almost get disembodied from their head and get massive.
Right.
It sounds weird when you say it. Like, it happens a lot in cartoons, but when you actually describe it, it's weird.
Yeah. Bugs Bunny does that a lot too. Just kind of like big smooch. And then it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Bugs Bunny also does wear lipstick on occasion, so...
Yes. Bugs Bunny and drag.
Such is the righteously flippant attitude towards gender norms. Bugs Bunny is trans. Bugs Bunny is the trickster god we all deserve. Sorry, sorting things out. Ooh, fancy coat. Oh, you did say they were wearing like a business suit.
Yep.
As mice tend to. It's always one of those things. You design a character, you design an animal character in a cartoon or a comic or something, and as soon as you start doing supporting characters, you realise the limitations of the style and you start adding clothes. And now your original characters are naked, and it's weird.
Yeah, I will say though, at least with this instance with Julia, that's not as much of a problem because all of the scenes that I see her in where she's wearing a suit, Pinky and Brain are also wearing suits.
Oh, okay.
So, and her design as a character is definitely distinct from Pinky and Brain. So it's not just like it's not the Donald Duck problem. Where you've got Donald Duck and then Daisy Duck who looks like Donald Duck in a skirt.
Oh, the Donald Duck's entire family are just like identical centuplets. It's we should do that. We should do the Donald Duck wiki.
And then all of us draw the same duck.
Yes.
Just leave one duck on the screen, and then each of us just trace over the duck.
Yeah. It's just an outfit design challenge. I did read that Tumblr post. That's where I got the idea from. Well, not the idea, the sentence, the sentiment. And it's accurate. There is something very Loki-ish about bugs.
These kind of clog shoes, right?
I don't believe Ragdoll specified that they were not wearing clogs.
But were it always these, like a Minnie Mouse and stuff? These big ass clunky shoes.
Yeah, the really big high heeled shoes for some reason.
Yeah. Always pointing inwards also.
And I figure the shoes are probably like that because, like, again, when they draw the male character first, you got these big feet, and then you've got the female character, and it's like, oh, but big feet, but also appealing.
Yes, them. Methinks.
All right.
We need the suggested boobage.
Mickey Mouse has big feet.
Yes, he does.
As big as Sonic's hands, or
Unclear.
I was about to say, has anybody compared Sonic's hands to Mickey's feet? And it's the internet, of course they have.
Oh dear.
Yeah, someone has probably written that or drawn that.
I'm done, by the way.
All right. Why wouldn't they have? Yeah, Chibi knows what's up. Okay, so I'm gonna post a couple of pictures.
Ooh.
So this is here in her suit during the presidential race, as it were.
Nice design.
Yes, and the fun thing is, so Pinky and Brain and also Julia here are all genetically, like, they are the way they are because of science.
Science.
So this is Julia before she was genetically altered to be intelligent. So just little rat running around, and then she got changed
into her new outfit.
Well, she came. The outfit came later. So we've got here. I'll put a picture with all three of them so you can see the difference in body type.
Looks more like Pinky.
Yeah.
That came out really unexpectedly tiny. I thought that was a thumbnail. No, it's the image.
Well, it's because I accidentally copied the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's the bigger image.
I almost did that notch in her ear. I guess that's where the chip was or something.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. The tag is on the ear. The chip is in the ear. So it's more like, hold on, let me grab yet another picture. Yeah, apparently the plot line in this particular episode is Brain is just kind of like, okay, I'm going to run for president.
As you do.
As you do when you're trying to take over the world. I need a first lady. Let me genetically engineer a mouse to be intelligent to be my first lady. She gains intelligence, gains a conscience, gains public favor, and so Brain's like, well, this isn't going to work. Let me try and remote control her brain. But she breaks free and then runs off to live in the woods.
She cannot be controlled.
Yes.
I like her.
This woman cannot be contained. But yeah, cute design. And I mean, we still have the problem of this is a lady, we must give her fancy hair. But at least we don't have the problem of this is now just Donald Duck in a dress. Because everyone looks the same.
She has a little bit of a Basil the Great Mouse Detective vibe.
Yeah. I mean, she has pants and no high heels, so that's
no
something.
massive high heels. How dare they? Problem of Lady Squirrel from Ice Age. I don't know. I forgot about.
I don't know if I ever saw Lady Squirrel from Ice Age, but that's because I think I've blocked out most of Ice Age.
Oh God.
Scared of Ice Age. For some reason.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. Animators do better. Right. In that case, I shall now give Ragdoll a prompt.
Yes.
I hope you're ready for something surprisingly boring. This
Is
show
it a
about
person?
aliens and weird creatures from all over the universe. No. You get a guy.
It's mostly just humans. I mean, a lot of the characters are just a human person with maybe a worm in their brain. So
you don't even get that. You do get an important character though, or quite an important recurring character at least. And the only reason I'm sticking on this is because there's a funny little idea of sort of costume that you might be able to do. But you have Harold Mayborn, who was a former colonel in the United States Air Force, senior official at the NID, the National Intelligence Department, and who was basically kicked off of Earth for treason and decided to set himself up as king of a tribe on a planet somewhere. So,
Well, backfired.
yeah, had a bit of a rise and fall.
They kicked him off the planet. And
Yeah.
thought that this wouldn't result in anything weird.
He's.
Well, you've done a treason. Let's put you on another planet that's obviously inhabited. Jeez.
Yeah, he set himself up as king of the local community by being able to translate some of the things that were around and make interesting technology that they hadn't seen before and all that sort of stuff. There's NID. Sorry, that was NID. Yeah, most of his encounters in the show are him being guy in suit what tells Stargate Command they're doing bad, and tries to defund them.
Well, they are.
They have endangered Earth quite a lot. So I'm kind of on his side, but he's also quite slimy and does a lot of things behind the scenes that are not good, which is why he gets kicked off of Earth. But I just like this image of somebody who is used to just working in an office now being king of a tribe on a planet somewhere. I think that's a funny image. So go ahead.
Jesus.
That's not very intelligent. It's intelligent. Only one intelligent.
I need to turn a new layer on. All right, let's see. So we went from mouse in suit to guy. Just guy.
In suit, mayhaps. Mayborn.
Yeah. Every office worker's dream. Yeah, he's just.
I mean, I work in an office, and my dream is mostly leaving me alone. Like, just let me do my job, please. Stop making me come to meetings that have nothing to do with what I'm doing. And some of these meetings involve me sitting here going, what do you even think you're doing?
Does he wear a suit with heels? I don't have a picture of the lower half, so maybe.
I mean, suit with heels is just a look.
I am now imagining for some reason Agent Smith from The Matrix, but dressed up like I don't know the name of the character, Sacha Baron Cohen's excitable king character from Madagascar.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called either.
It's just a funny image in my head. The mouse didn't wear heels, but he can. He could.
King Julian, yes.
King Julian. Right.
Is there a song where he says that? Yeah. He wears like a King Julian wears like a palm leaf crown
And it's
thing.
naked.
We'll just give him
That's what I
Julian
thought
crown.
immediately. Like, he's not wearing anything.
Yeah, well, also he's a lemur, so
Yeah.
sort of,
I
it
guess.
would be weirder if he was.
I like to move it, move it.
Oh, that was Hazel got rhythm. Hazel's got rhythm. She did that quite well, I think, as well as
really
can be expected for Hazel. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No,
you're
I was.
fine.
I was gonna say it's a really good head shape.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed with that. Now I just got to figure out like torso
Yeah, can't help you there.
because I can see the problem I always
Also
have with
be
torsos is I can never quite get like where the armpit starts to work quite right.
Yeah.
So they've always just kind of like got the weirdest shoulders, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I really too should study like the big muscles around the shoulders and ribs and stuff to understand. I keep thinking that every time I start drawing something, but I'm too lazy.
Jippy's never seen the Madagascar movies. All their knowledge comes from the Penguins of Madagascar TV series, which I haven't seen, but I am a
That
fan of
is
the
good.
Penguins. They are good.
The penguins are the
I
best thing to
knew
come from that.
I knew there was a movie. I didn't know they did a TV show as well.
Hey, Kiro.
This is just kind of like the Minions. It's like they were in one movie. They weren't even the main characters of the movie, and now they've got a whole thing.
The Just Smile and Wave Boys has been used a lot in my family.
Smile and wave, boy. Hey, Dan Kiro. Have you watched Madagascar?
I like this stuff.
Penguins of Madagascar are way better than the Minions. Well, they've got distinct personalities.
Yes, I would agree with you, but I also just find it funny. It's just kind of like in the original show, like not show movie, they are not the main characters at all, and yet they're the ones that get their own TV show.
I mean, it's, how many different ways can you escape from a thing in a spy? You can do just basically sort of spy parody sort of thing. That's what they are. So there's a lot of material there. You have not seen any of Madagascar.
Of them, so
We have found the one hole in Kiro's knowledge. Fortunately, we are not doing the Madagascar wiki.
maybe we should. Then they'd be surprised.
Is there like a DreamWorks wiki? That was DreamWorks, right?
I think so.
Hey.
Yeah, it wasn't Pixar, I don't think.
I mean, these days you've only
Yes.
got like 3 options for who animated something. So if it's not that, you don't have very many other places you have to check to see who made it.
Okay, there is a DreamWorks wiki. Well, there's lyrics on it.
Could we get Shrek?
Oh, okay. I got a character from Madagascar. Marvelous.
Wow.
Well, there you go. It's definitely
apparently
DreamWorks then.
Apparently King Julian had his own show. All hail King Julian.
Oh, okay.
And
I can't imagine his stick being funny for very long.
Well, let's see. How long was it funny? 78 episodes.
Tell you how long. And it was probably funny for like 5 of them.
6 seasons. 78 episodes, apparently.
Kids entertainment, man.
How many did the Penguins get? 145.
Yay,
wow.
They win.
Yeah, the Penguins win. Rightly so.
I mean, the wiki is just telling you how many episodes they made. That doesn't necessarily tell you how long it was, like, good. Because there's been plenty of shows out there where it's just kind of like, this lasted for 15 seasons, and it probably should have died at 5.
Yeah. I would think most shows are the best in the first season.
Sometimes they take a little bit of settling in.
Yeah, it sort of depends on what you're working with. There are some shows where it's like the first season is sort of weird because they haven't like settled onto what they are yet, and so it takes it a little bit to like get into the groove of like what it is. But there are other shows where like for whatever reason the showrunners had like 3 good ideas and used them all in the first season, and then after that it's just like oh, what do we do now? We had 3 good ideas and we used them all. And that's having like 1 or 2 good ideas is fine. There's plenty of like excellent animes out there that are only like 1 or 2 seasons, and that's all they need. The problem comes when it's like, oh god, what's the line from Spaceballs? Spaceballs 2: The Quest for More Money.
What?
So yeah, Spaceballs is a parody movie, and one of the lines in it is like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll meet each other again in Spaceballs 2: The Quest for More Money."
That's awesome.
You've got some things where it's just kind of like, we've been given more episodes and we have no idea what to do here.
I mean, as somebody who is currently on the Stargate wiki, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the last 5 series of that show was all about. How many series did it have? That's a good question. I said it's a good question. It's a question.
See, that, and it's also sort of a complicated question because I think some of them ran at the same time. I want to say there was overlap between SG-1 and Atlantis.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, Atlantis was going on.
Oh, it branches.
Yeah, there's the spin-off of Atlantis, which wasn't the character from Atlantis in the show briefly as well. Maybe not. The scientist was. I think he turned up a few times. Who was the best character? Then there was also the spin-off of Universe, which didn't last very long, unfortunately. They tried to do a Lost. It didn't quite work.
I remember there was one series where they could only like get back to Earth by like swapping out with someone's body, like swapping out with someone's mind and their body on Earth, and they used that for like shore leave.
Oh, that might have been Universe. Weird. Possibly.
It was weird. It was just really.
Look, body swapping, brain swapping, that happens a lot in Stargate, honestly. I remember there was an episode of Stargate where it was like, oh, there's this machine that causes people's minds to swap around, but you can never swap back. And so like the last 5 minutes of the show is people working out some sort of permutation system so that everyone can end back up in the same body, but without 2 people swapping twice. And it's just like, this is a weird. This was written by somebody who likes maths.
Now, see, to me, Stargate is its best when it's doing ridiculous stuff like that, where it's just kind of like, all right, cool, let's. Like, my favorite episode from early Stargate is the Groundhog Day episode, where after a while, it's kind of like, let's see how many ridiculous things we can do in this one day that we're reliving over and over and over.
I love that episode.
The best single moment in that episode, I think, is when you've got, God, what's the name of the O'Neill? You've got O'Neill and Teal'c who are playing golf in the Stargate room, and they get interrupted, and it's like, in the middle of my backswing, just throwing golf balls into the Stargate. What the heck ever. And then the second funniest scene is the continuous reset where Daniel is trying to teach O'Neill enough language so that he can sort of figure out what's going on, because O'Neill and Teal'c are the only ones who are reliving this, and neither of them know enough of the language to like fix what's going on. So Daniel's teaching it to them in parts, but they're having to do this over and over again.
Oh my
so
God.
you'll see O'Neill and Teal'c doing just random stuff while Daniel's going over the same line over and over and over again. And so they're like juggling balls with each other. and just all sorts of random stuff. That's,
Oh yeah, he learns to juggle, doesn't he?
yes.
How old is this show?
Another. It's when did it start? According to this, it started in 1997 and finished in 2007. So
Yeah,
long.
it started in like late 90s. So there was a movie that came beforehand, which is technically canon, but with some things that they changed around, including swapping out some actors and changing how O'Neill's name is spelled.
Really?
Which comes up as a yes, and that comes up as a joke in one of the episodes.
Wonderful.
Because the O'Neill in the movie is a lot more no nonsense than the O'Neill in the TV show.
There's a lot of nonsense.
Yes, which has a lot of nonsense. And so, like, that's one of the things that comes up where, like, I don't even remember exactly what the context was, but basically it's like someone's trying, like, O'Neill's like introducing himself, or it's like saying like who he is or something like that. It's like, that's O'Neill with 2 L's, the one with a sense of humor.
I need to watch this show. Why haven't I ever watched them?
The one-off episodes are always the best. The long series arcs with, plots of gold, Inception, and all that sort of stuff tend not to be as good. But there is the one more thing I just want to point out about that episode, whose name has escaped me at the moment, is one of my favourite things. The very first thing that happens to Teal'c on every reset is he gets smacked in the face with a door. It's just as soon as the day restarts, boom, that's it. And then by the end of it, the person who opens the door just keeps getting just thrown out of the door. So you have done this to me hundreds of times.
Comedic as it sounds, or is it just like a few spoof episodes?
It's not a comedy, but it doesn't take itself too seriously quite a lot of the time. So
yeah, like I said, it's got with a show that runs that long, you're going to have some hits and misses. My opinion is it hits best when it's just being absolutely ridiculous and everyone is aware of the fact, including the characters. But yeah, Chris is right. Some of the like really long arc bits are like can be good, but some of them get a little especially as it gets further on, and it's like, all right, I think we're running out of ideas. And then by the time you get to the space vampires, it's like, all right, cool.
Space vampires.
I think we're done.
Merlin crops up.
Dope.
Although that kind of fits because it's all about ancient mythologies turning out to be aliens. It's ancient aliens, but knowing it's fiction. That's what it is. Anyway,
right,
this is fun. Business King.
Yeah, here's the businessman king.
Here's businessman king. By the sounds of it, you know a lot about this show, so I probably don't have to show you a picture of Mayborn. But here he is looking like.
I mean, you should probably show everyone else at least.
Here he is looking like a character from Myst.
Oh God, yeah, he does.
Or a Viking.
He's quite like when things are going his way, he does a very good line in Smug.
Yes. And it's pretty great.
Laughs in Smug.
Yeah, like I said, it's not the most interesting thing to draw, but I like the idea of just giving the prompt of somebody who used to work for the government but is now a king on a planet.
Yeah.
And
I got a new show to watch, so thanks.
There's a lot to watch.
Yeah, like I said, don't be surprised when it starts to get really, really weird, because that's sort of what happens when a show runs that long.
Expect Space Merlin.
Yeah, and expect Space Merlin.
Yeah, well, it's going to take a while. Expect the space Egyptians, at least. That is the main core of the show.
They built the pyramids.
They did, and they fly them as well. So gold. Also, one of the main characters of the show, their most commonly repeated line in a script, or not line, but the most commonly repeated direction in a script is raises eyebrow, and that is a character trait.
Amazing.
And that the actor who plays that character is now the voice of Kratos in God of War.
Yes. Yes.
There's a
and he
lovely
does an
voice.
excellent job of that.
Yes.
You can hear the raised eyebrow.
Right, I guess I now have to draw something from James Bond, but call a Bondulance.
James Bond. You have from... I also pulled up some in advance, just to not get any too misogynistic ones or something.
Well, it's alas, I was recently looking into the plausibility of watching all of the films, because I haven't seen any of them, and I feel like the early campy ones might be quite fun. But
I actually want to watch the one this person is in.
ooh.
This is Mayday. MAY space DAY.
Okay. So they're a May dancer.
She is I'm not gonna tell you what actor plays them, because you might know.
Probably
Mayday was a fictional bodyguard, lover, and assassin employed by billionaire industrialist Max Sorin, portrayed by American singer and actress Bleep, and doubled by stuntman B.J. Worth. The character acted as a second antagonist in the 1985 James Bond film A View to Kill. She was also in the video game adaptations, and there's some funny pictures.
Right. So the problem I'm having at the moment is you say Mayday, so I'm immediately thinking of a maypole dancer. Now, I don't know if anybody not from Britain knows what I'm talking about, but and that's not exactly that's
but
not exactly the James Bond
I
image.
know of maypoles.
Okay.
But I might be thinking of like the Swedish version.
Yeah, and
oddly enough.
And as Chibi is alluding to, the other thing I was thinking of is by calling the actress Bleep, I'm now just imagining they're a robot. So,
well,
robot maypole dancer? 1980s robot, okay. So let's,
I will say they are really dope.
They're really dope. I can't draw dope. I draw silly things. I can't do dope.
You can't do badass?
I mean, some of the silly things you draw are pretty dope. So
okay, so let's. I'm gonna.
Just say if you want more description or the name of the
I have
actress.
too much to go on at the moment. Do not. There is no need for more information. If anything, I have too much.
Because I would love to see you make a drawing of this person, but also, like, I'm looking forward to the reveal.
I mean, robot maypole dancer is a pretty funny image to go off.
It is.
I'm trying to think because there's a particular. Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something slightly more specific. Let's see if I can get. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Right. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm thinking of a particular type of maypole dancing in Britain called Morris dancing. And Morris dancers are wonderfully ridiculous.
I mean,
There's so little culture where I'm from, so I'm just like, oh yeah, that thing with the maypole and the I know that. That's N thing, singular.
I mean, I don't think I've seen a traditional maypole outfit that didn't look at least a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
At the very least, you've got like a huge crown of flowers on your head.
Yep.
Then it just sort of goes from there.
In this case, the crown of flowers is around a hat. So that's always a good start. It's a nice straw hat.
Probably makes it easier to get on the head. Just put the flowers on the hat first and then put the hat on the head.
It's the 80s, so you need shoulder pads.
Of course. That's actually... Yeah.
the 80s. You need shoulder pads.
Yeah, and I still
If
don't
I was
know why
tall,
that
I
was-
would always wear shoulder pads.
Can I? So I'm trying to
More
work out
ridiculous.
how to Bondize a Morris dancer's outfit, because clearly it's 80s Bond film. There's cleavage involved. But it's like cleavage with a Morris dancer's outfit. How does that work?
Now I
It got
have to
ripped
Google
during the
what
fight.
some-
Just like
right.
a sexy tearage during the
Oh,
fight.
that's absolutely yes.
Oh, I see your problem. They
Because,
are
I mean,
very close.
because if it's a female character and they're working for the villains, they're going to fight Bond at some point. And since it's a female character in a Bond movie, it's going to probably be sexy revealing scene. So, ripped clothing sort of goes along with that.
But they're also dope, so
that
they're ripped in multiple ways. This is muscly character.
Yeah.
Um.
Of course, now I'm imagining the two of them fighting around a maypole, which is really funny, considering
Well,
all you really do with a maypole is like grab like a ribbon or whatnot and dance around it.
It's Maypole. Maypole is the code name for like a satellite or an aerial or something. And the whole thing is just sort of themed around that. It's your typical Bondy sort of story. I don't know how arms work.
This is
typical
pretty cool.
Bondy sort of espionage sort of thing, but it just so happens that all of the names are themed around Mayday for some reason. Maybe the film's called Mayday. Because that works. It's like a distress
and then
signal.
People are like, "Oh, Mayday," as in like distress, and then it's like, well, no, we have this instead.
We have the surprising amount of handkerchiefs tied to the belt. Don't worry about that.
Looks
Sorry.
like a superhero with the belt question mark thingy on the.
They're just sort of straps that go around. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Also, you may be the first person ever to.
Not on hips. What is that?
Oh yeah, I should. Yeah, you may be the first person in history to refer to a Morris dancer as looking like a superhero. So you made a lot of people happy and a lot more people confused. I should do a face. So what? I mean, we've got robot, right? But we could have. It could be cyborg kind of thing going on.
Cyborg.
80s sunglasses. Oh, I thought it was gonna be huge. Wait, did the 80s have huge sunglasses? Am I thinking
Oh, you
wrong?
could have sunglasses.
Yeah, you've got for whatever reason, really big glasses and sunglasses were just present a lot, 70s and 80s.
Yeah, with
I've
funky shapes.
seen
right?
like old pictures of my parents, and it's like, yeah, those are big glasses.
I mean, really, like if we're going full 80s, this character probably needs a perm of some description, but I'm not sure how to do that. This character is looking
It
more or
is
less.
curly.
It is curly. Okay. I'll go with that. Also, these are cyber shades, so there's
Cyber shades.
some sort of lasers coming out of the tops.
It's Cyclops.
Yes, Chibi, we're wearing our sunglasses at night.
Because we are too cool.
Wear my sunglasses at night. And that's about all I know of that song.
I know nothing of songs. I know Lady Gaga, that's about it.
Lady who now?
Father Gaga.
Who might wear something like this, all things considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Am I drawing Lady Gaga? I might be drawing Lady Gaga. Oh, I think
Yeah,
about it.
actually, now that that's in my head, you're drawing Lady Gaga.
I can't draw a ridiculous female character without them looking like Lady Gaga. It's just a physical impossibility. That is her look. That is her cultural image.
Mother monster.
She's done well on it. I was thinking of having it like the maypole thing, not the maypole, the stick Morris dancers carry. How do hands work? And I was thinking of having that, but it's like they work smaller than that. That's for sure.
Is it a maychuck? A non-pole?
It's a mini pole, but there's like
Yeah, Chibi's right here. The Detective Pikachu, one of the bad guys' henchmen, wears sunglasses. Although there is an actual reason why they continuously wear the sunglasses even at night, for spoiling reasons that are very funny, actually. That little laser in the pole.
Yeah, it's got to be a gadget. I just love the idea of like a James Bond thing that's themed around Morris dancing. It's just very funny.
I mean, they could have hidden the laser in a lipstick, but
nope.
They had to stick with the theme.
Well, that one's
been done. You are right,
done.
Chibi. We have not done the Pokemon Wiki, but that's partially because the Pokemon Wiki is, again, just like with Digimon, you have to sort of specify which one, and you probably don't want to use Bulbapedia, because Bulbapedia also has every single move that a Pokemon can learn, and every single ability that a Pokemon can learn, and every single type that a Pokemon can be. But if you want to do Pokemon at some point, you can do Pokemon.
I did go on Bulbapedia, and it doesn't have a random article button, but if you just type /special:_random, you get a random page. So that works with quite a few wikis. That works with the Scooby-Doo one as well, which apparently doesn't have a random page button. Even though you would
before doing a possible Pokemon episode, I would have to practice doing some Pokemon first, because I don't do big chubby round shapes very well.
That's okay. Pokemon has a lot of things that aren't big chubby round shapes.
Yeah.
I mean, even the sharp shapes are somehow round.
Also, I guess they're a villain, so they need to also inexplicably to be wearing high-heeled boots.
Yes. Pointy too.
With bells on.
Exactly.
Oh
my god, that tied everything together.
It fits the Morris Dancer aesthetic, it must be said. I feel like I shouldn't be, at the end of this, I shouldn't be revealing this character. I should just be revealing what Morris Dancers look like.
I mean, we could do both. And then just stick the two on top of each other and be like, oh, look, it's the same thing.
I have a sneaky suspicion that whoever plays this character deserves better than this.
Well, only because they are that awesome.
Well, here's Mayday, I guess. That's
so the actor
sure is a villain. Definitely not a hero, that's for sure.
I'd say call the cops, but I think we're better off calling the fashion police.
It was Grace Jones.
Oh, Grace Jones. This is obviously an illustration, but I know what Grace Jones looks like.
I didn't know they have so many, they had so many looks in this movie. Look at this suit with the shoulder pads.
Oh yeah. Wow. Look at that, and the eyeshadow. That hair.
So cool.
You look like you use that hair as an anvil. It's great.
I'm really happy I looked up James Bond today, because I'm in love. I need to watch this movie now.
I'm now happy knowing that Grace Jones and Christopher Walken are in a movie together. This is all the more reason for me to want to watch James Bond now.
See, and I also like this because the sort of culture idea of what we mean by a Bond girl is like this
I know.
sexy, feminine, big boobed, whatever. And then you've got this, where it's just kind of like, okay, obviously, like, I mean, she's beautiful here, but she's definitely got, I don't want to say like more masculine features, but it's just kind of like,
I mean, look
the
at
boobs
those biceps.
aren't big. Yeah, biceps for days.
Traditionally thought of masculine features. I get you.
Yeah. Features which people would, in general, identify as masculine. But hey,
yeah,
hopefully
she's not as rounded. She's wonderful. I love it.
Chiseled.
She's got I would not be surprised if she went around.
And then we got this gestures to my drawing. That is fair. I may have missed the mark on what is a James Bond thing.
I mean, clearly there's more variety than modern James Bond might make you think. So.
Yeah.
And this could be a villain somewhere.
This was during Roger Moore, so it was, was he the second Bond?
Third, I think. There was a Bond that did one movie somehow.
Yeah, it has been sort of in and out. I didn't realise Connery was doing it for so long. Anyway, also here are apparently I'm just pasting the entire picture in. Sure, whatever. Here's a picture of some Morris dancers. How many Bonds have there been? 7? Look at them having a good time.
Yes. Mayday dances.
Yeah, I don't know how many Bonds there have been. I was literally looking this up the other day, and I didn't actually bother to look at the numbers.
I mean, it's gotta be 7.
Well, then they'd have to stop.
And no more movies.
Right? Portrayers: Pierce Brosnan, Sean Connery, Daniel Craig, Timothy Dalton, Bob Holness, Michael Jaston, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Barry Nelson, David Niven, Toby Stevens. I have no idea how many of those are serious.
Who were these people?
I recognise some of them.
I know the first one was a redhead.
For
some reason, I know that.
Dr. No. Well, Sean Connery apparently was the first one. Although there might have been like a as it were, non-official film beforehand. There was a film called, I think it was like the character was Jimmy Bond or something like that. Prior to these things, but apparently Sean Connery.
Good old Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah, Herlock Sholmes. Yeah, but according to this, we should probably do a drawing rather than talking about this for too long. Jimmy Bond, yeah. But yeah, according to this, the first
drawing, so we can talk about it.
First canonical film was Dr. No with Sean Connery. So, okay. So who's doing what? Christi. Yeah, Christi. Okay, I need to get you something for you. Let's do that. Might be a while. We'll probably get a lot of just pages with guns.
I'm not drawing guns.
That's fair enough.
I mean, at least when it comes to Stargate, you can just draw a squiggle and call it a gun.
Yay!
It depends whether it's a human gun or an alien gun. If you're going to get the Zatnik Tel or whatever, you can just do a squiggle. It's fine. Yeah, draw Tokyo. Do that.
The name's Bond, Jimmy Bond. Yes, that's not quite as.
Okay.
It doesn't have quite
roll on the tongue quite the same.
Okay. Don't remember this one, but we'll go with it. You have hang on. Oh no, I'm breaking many things. Don't worry about it.
See, this is why artists have stage names, because Jimmy Bond just doesn't sound quite right.
Jimmy Bond. Mm-hmm. You have.
That'd be like the redneck James Bond or something.
Jimmy Bond. You have Alikos, who is a male Argosian from the planet Argos.
And that means a lot to me.
He looks like low-budget ancient Greek. well, low budget ancient Roman, maybe. Where are we? He has lived for 1,000 days.
Yes, should be most likely from the myth.
Yeah,
there's a running thing in Stargate where pretty much everything in mythology is actually aliens.
All thing. Yep. O'Neill explained that Pelops was an alien and who had taken Alikos' ancestors from Earth to Argos to be experimented upon. So these almost certainly came from the past. Apparently this wiki is also available in Dutch. That's the only other language. Strange. Yeah, I mean, he's just a guy,
really.
really.
Drawing low budget ancient Rome.
I mean, Argos is like a store, right?
Yeah. It's
That's what I.
the laminated book of dreams, as Bill Bailey put it. The tiny pens. Written in Dutch. Okay. Alikos is in Manelike Argosian van de planeet Argos. Hij is getrouwd met Thetis en is de vader van Dan-El. So you don't know how much of this is Dutch and how much of it is just nonsense Stargate stuff. Toon SG1 aankwam op Argos was Alikos met zijn vrouw in de tempel of Pelops. Waar zich op het punt stond de bevalling. Daniel Jackson hielp met de bevalling en daarom vernoemden de trotse ouders hun zoon naar hem. There you go. That's the first paragraph of the Netherlands Stargate Wiki, which apparently only has 116 pages, and this is one of them.
And apparently that was good enough for Chippy to understand at least some of that.
He's married to Thetis.
Wow.
Yes. Thetis.
Well done.
Yeah, he has a wife, Thetis, who's about to give birth. The paragraphs are clearly different, so I don't even know what I just said. Sound like having a stroke? That's fair. I must say, I rolled lucky. That first paragraph did not have many long words. The other paragraphs.
Some of them were actually just English.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I did like Argos was Alikos mit zijn vrouw in the temple of Pelops.
Well, Chris, there you go. When you're speaking Dutch, you sound like you're having a stroke.
That's fair. What was it when Arnold Schwarzenegger did Terminator? I think they were going to dub it into German, and Schwarzenegger said, "Oh, well, I know German. I'll do the German dub." And they said, "No, you're from Austria. You sound like a farmer." This is in the idea of the Terminator sounding like a farmer. Just it wouldn't sit well. So yeah, it's
that's great. Well, one thing with that I always find funny. So Jackie Chan was in a lot of action movies in China before he made his American debut, and then once he got popular, a lot of those got dubbed into English, and he dubbed himself.
Oh.
But he's the only one who did that. So all of the other characters are being dubbed by people who speak English, and then he's dubbed by himself. So he's the only one who has an accent in those movies, in the dubbed version of those movies.
Great.
Well,
well,
you gotta have pride in your work.
And I mean, his English is fine. It's not like he's not understandable. It's just funny that he's the only, because all of the characters are Chinese, or at least are probably East Asian at the very least, because these are all movies that are made in Asia with Asian actors. It's just funny that in the dub, they're all dubbed over with someone speaking fluent, unaccented English, and then there's Jackie Chan.
Oh wait, hang on, that isn't.
And I mean, they're
sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like they're cheesy action movies, so it's not like I'm expecting like you're not expecting much with that, but it's still just funny. And now we've got. So I like how on my round I had an office worker wearing like King Louis's crown and scepter, and now it's like, oh, we have a character who's legitimately from this other world place, and you've drawn them in an office.
I mean, I heard Argos.
I would also like to say this character apparently has just never left the village that they're in. So I like the idea that this person is they're stuck in the office. That's stuck in Argos. Did Christopher Lee do the German dub for Saruman in Lord of the Rings? I don't know. Lord of the Rings wiki.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
There's one to put on the
Christopher
list.
Lee did a lot of things. I believe he was also in a heavy metal band at some point.
He did. He did a spoken word heavy metal Christmas album, I think. This is just before he died. Which is just the weirdest sentence. Yeah, exactly. That's a sentence. Darkest Carols Faithful Sing, 2014, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, after a certain point, who's going to stop you?
Oh, no, hang on. Charlemagne by the Sword and Cross is a symphonic metal concept album by Christopher Lee. He did more. I didn't know he actually had a history in this. I mean, good on him. Did loads of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you how good any of it is, because I don't listen to a lot of heavy metal. I like the instrumental bits of heavy metal.
Yeah.
But depending on the type of metal, some of the lyrics just sort of grate on my ears. Melodic metal I'm good with, but some of the stuff that gets a little bit more guttural and screamy, I mean, I have no issue with people liking it. It just sets off something weird and twitchy in my brain, and it's like, nope, can't do this.
I'm in the same boat. One of sorry, this is just a slight tangent, but something I find quite funny. I recently came across artist, more German, an artist called Max Raber, I believe is how you pronounce it. Who I found it, funnily enough, because of a Tumblr meme of his very peculiar cover of "We Will Rock You," because he's known for doing basically covers of music and original music in the style of like 1920s and 30s Weimar Germany. So he's got this sort of old sort of I don't know how to describe the voice, but when you hear it, you're like, oh, that sounds like it should be on an old crackling radio. Anyway, he did a couple of years ago. He did an MTV Unplugged gig with his little brass orchestra and stuff. He writes some good music, by the way. It's very calming and nice. His most famous song is just about how nice it is to ride a bicycle. But yeah, he did this Unplugged thing, and he had a bunch of guests. He was like, oh, I'm going to invite some people I like to sing with me and do other stuff. And so there was a couple of like jazz singers and stuff like that, and then like a rap artist came in, and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then Lordi came in, by which I mean the heavy metal, like, full prosthetic demon look, if anyone remembers that, I think from Eurovision.
Nice.
And it's like, this is weird. This is weird. You've got this sort of 1920s sort of jazz swing thing going on, and then just Lordy's there, full makeup, everything. It's strange. Was that the one you called me out for in music, Rex, the other day because you got addicted to it after you reblogged it? Yes. His music's good. It's not something I would, constantly listen to, but just having on in the background is very nice.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah, it's just this image of this sort of incredibly sort of smartly dressed, sophisticated person in sort of like tail suit and surrounded by trumpets and saxophones and violins, and then just in comes Lordy. Suddenly demon. I'm glad. I'm glad these two things can cross over. The world is a better place for that to exist. To be fair, Lordy always feels like that in Eurovision as well. Just, oh, Lordy. I feel bad for this character. He's just clearly not having a good time.
Yeah, he's in the sci-fi world and he's just stuck in an office.
Apparently these people also age rapidly.
Oh.
At least he's not going to be stuck in the office for very long.
True. By which I don't mean this person is old. By which I mean they look relatively young, but are probably like a year old or something like that in terms of time. They just age faster because of genetic engineering or something weird.
Yeah, that is a thing that comes up in the show.
Yeah, Pelops place nanites in their bodies to massively speed up their life cycle. But
why?
by the
end, science.
Because Pelops. Who's Pelops? Oh, that would have been more fun. The gold. It's gold, obviously.
I guess this is Argos.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason behind it. So part of the reason why in like lab stuff we like to use stuff like rats and flies is because we don't have to wait very long to get more. Like with fruit flies, it's like we can literally go through their entire life cycle of fruit flies laying eggs, the eggs hatching, the eggs going to the point of adulthood, so we can study what their traits look like within like a 15-week period. Which the main reason I know this is because they use fruit flies in some of the genetics labs that are taught where I work, because you can do that in a semester. Similarly, so yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the goal, because the Goa'uld, humans are sort of just meat suit lab rats. Meat suits and lab rats for them.
Yes, the Pelops who did this age speedening technology, for want of a better term. I can't be bothered to go to the other tab to see what it was. Yeah, he apparently was the person who invented the Jafar. The idea of, hosting symbiotes inside people as sort of incubators. So apparently, yeah, he did a lot of experimenting stuff.
But yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. There we go. This person that I desperately want to just, give a holiday at least.
He is definitely counting down the minutes until the clock runs out and he can go home.
Yeah.
He's too good to be here. He's like an Egyptian space god or whatever.
There we go. This is Alakos from Argos. I don't know what that.
Wearing purple is sort of funny to me as someone who knows a bit about purple in ancient Greek and Rome.
Yeah. I mean, they've I don't know how long they've been on this planet. Well, they've been there for as long as it's been between now and ancient Greek and Rome. But on that planet, purple might be in abundance. Who knows?
Yeah, Chibi. A lot of the characters are just dudes,
Just
and a lot of them are genetically altered humans, and that's
Yeah.
actually part of the plot.
That is
The plot, the show actually explains why they keep going to all of these alien planets and everyone's just humans.
It doesn't explain why everywhere they go is a forest of fir trees. That is...
Yeah, it doesn't explain why everything looks like Canada, but it does
Yeah.
explain why everything is humans.
Yeah,
I wonder where it was filmed.
Well, it's like, it's in Doctor Who, every planet's a gravel quarry, and it just happens.
You were got.
Yeah, so far, 2 for 2 on the Stargate wiki of just a dude. There we go.
I'm sorry, I can't stop drawing.
There's no worries.
There we go.
Just thought Argos, lots of eyes. I don't know enough about mythology.
No, you're right. That was a thought to be had. It's just not present here in Stargate.
Argos has lots of eyes in mythology?
Because I think the weirdest aliens
They are
we actually
lots of eyes. Sorry.
Because most of the time, even with the characters where it's like, oh, there's some weird body horror going on here, you don't see it much. Like Teal'c has a bit of weird body horror going on, but you don't see it much. He's mostly just wearing shirts.
I miss.
The weirdest you get are the God, I don't remember what they're called. They're the little gray aliens, and they're based off of the Norse mythology.
The Asgard.
Yeah, the Asgards. That's sort of the weirdest we get, and they don't show up all that often, all things considered. And I'm pretty sure they've only got like 3 suits for them, and just keep reusing them, because I don't remember any of the Asgardians looking at each other. They're just little gray Muppet men.
Yeah, they're great.
I'm quite curious as to what these Asgardians look like. Great aliens?
Yeah, they are. They took the idea of like, oh, your typical greys, the sort of Area 51 kind of thing. What if they were actually Norse mythology? And so like the first one I think you come across is Thor, and he looks, well, hang on, he looks like this.
Just start with Thor, I guess.
Yeah, little gray Muppet men.
Um,
And all of them look exactly like this. Loki
Yes.
shows up at one point. He also looks exactly like this. So I'm pretty sure they just have like 2 or 3 identical outfits, and they just use them for however many of them show up, and it's just the same one.
It's not a huge budget on this show.
Sweet.
Nope.
Stargate, the final
Looks like
frontier in
Greg
a
now
galaxy
and
far,
Rocket
far
Man.
away.
Chibi is not impressed with this mythology nonsense. But yeah, Chibi's right. There was Argos, unless I'm mixing things up. He was a watch. He has covered in eyes, so can always keep watch. But then he gets put to sleep and I think killed. And I believe that's the myth of where peacocks come from, because Hera was just like really upset, but also couldn't do anything about it. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, we're gonna take these eyes and like put them on a bird so that nobody forgets him or whatnot, because that makes sense. Myths.
It probably
Myths
crops up somewhere in Stargate. Or Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf also like doing myths. The sirens are in there. Legion.
Chibi
like,
is extremely unimpressed.
Can't name things after mythology and have them be bland AF. That's kind of the point. That's why I love them. Because that's sort of how they appear, is that there's this civilization that worship these grand gods, and they're really powerful and all that. And then they turn up and they're like, hello. It's like, are you Thor?
Hello.
I think also the way they contact them is with maths. Like they prove that they've worked out pi or something, and
Yes, it was pi.
Yeah.
Pi is the way that we made contact.
Because it's like a universal constant. Something. Even if the language breaks down, it's something that we can all sort of go, There's a common point, assuming they developed Euclidean geometry.
And baseband.
Nerds. You can. The number itself, I think it's just communicated by drawing a radius in a circle or something like that. So it's still a geometric thing rather than a numerical one. Even then, there could have been diameter. Could have been really screwed. They might have based it on the area of an arc. Sorry, not an area of an arc. The length of an arc, area of a segment.
I mean, length and area are the same sort of thing, just different dimensions.
Yeah.
And then you can talk about the length and/or area equivalent in nth-dimensional space, and then everyone's brain starts to work.
Yeah. There was that thing. I can't remember whether I talked about it on stream. The proof of the volume of a sphere, and it's basically I can't remember who the ancient Greek mathematician worked out that if you take the volume of a sphere and a volume of two cones that you just stack on top of each other, that's the same as a volume of a cylinder. It's like, that's a weird equation.
Yeah.
Cylinder minus sphere is two cones. And it's great. I love
that's easier to remember than just cylinder.
No, that's just the volume of a cylinder. That's relatively easy to work out. You can work out the volume of a cone, not too difficult. Volume of a sphere, that was a tricky one. So they worked out the volume of a sphere using the other two things. Obviously, at that time, they mainly did it using displacement of water and stuff like that. But now we have calculus, so we can be more thorough.
See, the one I always liked in grad school was in one of my theory courses. We were talking about equivalent of length / area / volume, depending on what dimension you're in. And then it's like, all right, we're going to figure out what the value of the nth dimensional equivalent of volume is for a sphere in nth dimensional space. And it's like, oh, congratulations, it goes to 0. And everyone's like, nope, we're done. All of the applied mathematicians just left the room at that point.
Does it tend to 0? That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the proof because it's been a good minute, and I mostly remember that day just breaking my brain. I'm sure I've got it written down somewhere, but it was just kind of like, oh, okay, we're done.
Well, I guess if you're keeping the radius, let's say the radius is 1, then you're just going to get increasing powers of 1, so you can ignore that. Pi is just going to be pi, and going from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, you go from 2 to 4/3. So that's already going down.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was essentially the logic there, and it's like, nope, we're done.
I guess it's mainly because we're sort of defining volume from the perspective of like cubes and things like that, and the sphere is always quite a lot smaller than the cube it's in. Proportionally less so as you go up in higher dimensions. I'm going to stop talking about maths now, and we're going to do some drawing. Ragdoll, do you want to draw something?
This is what happens when you leave 2 mathematicians alone. Let's just start talking nonsense.
Let's move. Let's go into the problem of.
Also, I want to explain that I heard or remembered, I guess, Egyptian instead of Greek.
So I mean, to be fair, I think both were said. Because BYOW, they're based off of like Egyptian mythology.
Stargate is largely about the Egyptian, but every mythology is picked from. So this one just happened to be more Greek. So Ragdoll, do you want to draw something from James Bond?
Sure. Now we can move on. That way chat just doesn't build a castle as we're sitting here talking nonsense. Because that's apparently what they're doing. Castle with a dragon.
There's the nice maths problem of if you pack out a cube with spheres and see how big a sphere you can put in the middle, and you increase that to higher dimensions. By the time you get up to 10 dimensions, the sphere in the middle is bigger than the box it's in. Anyway, carry
on. James Bond. Ragdoll, you have Solitaire. There's 2 versions. There is the literary version from Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die. I know that song.
It says, the novel reveals that her real name is Simone Luttrell, that she is of French stuck, and she was born in Haiti. The name Solitaire is given to her by the Haitians because of her apparent exclusion of men from her life. I had to include this one because of the description.
So she got a nickname just because she wants to be left alone. That's,
I mean,
in Ian Fleming's head, that is an exceptional weird thing for a woman.
It's exceptionally weird to avoid being with men.
Oh, Fleming.
I mean,
well.
yeah. Pretty sure this is her.
No, it's the Queen of Diamonds. We know where.
I was making an ace joke, but yeah.
Oh, yours was clever. Mine was referential. Mine was in reference to the fact that Chivy's has been playing solitaire with a pack of cards, but it doesn't have a Queen of Diamonds.
Oh, I'm missing all the jokes. In the movie, she's played by Jane Seymour. Is a fictional voodoo psychic medium.
Excuse me?
That's a lot of stuff. Ice Koala.
Wait, does Jane Seymour have heterochromia?
Oh, different eyes. Different iris colours.
Yeah. Difficult word, simple thing. Because that's what it says about the character, but only in the movie version.
Okay, so one half of the card is spades, the other half is hearts.
His status is alive.
Apparently, the castle that they're building in the chat, where you and I are being kept in the secret entrance in the dungeon with our cone spears.
Yeah.
So that's fun. All right, so she's some psychic. Yeah, when the two of us went off on our weird math rant tangent, everyone in the chat's just kind of like, well, none of us understand this nonsense, so we're just going to build a fake castle and stick the mathematicians in the dungeon where we belong.
Where we'll be working out the volume of the moat. Did you know if you extended this moat to be 4-dimensional?
Okay, so
Can we draw a math stream somehow?
Don't give me a chance. Everyone would hate it.
I mean, you've done a stream at least once where you explained the math behind, what was it? Filters? No, it was
yeah, layer styles.
Just the layer styles, yeah, which is all just vectors.
Math and that? Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I quite like it because the main reason I wanted to do it is I wanted to explain how something like overlay is basically, hey, look, it's just a Frankensteinian stitched together version of multiply and screen. Also, multiply and screen are opposites.
It took me 3 years to understand procreate. I don't need to be confused.
You just need to know its application. There were a few things that were interesting as a consequence of looking into that. Like I say, learning that screen does for making things lighter what multiply does to making things darker. That's the simple way of putting it.
Okay, that is useful.
But because divide doesn't do that, because division by small numbers is a problem. But
yep, especially in computers that can't always handle small numbers.
Yeah. Also, color dodge is exactly the same thing as divide, but it just flips the color you're using. So if you were to put in a dark color on a divide layer, it would get really bright, and that seems a bit counterintuitive. You'd want to put a light color to make it light, and that's what color dodge does. It just flips it around, so you don't have to think about it. These are the things you learn. Also,
and apparently we're getting shoved deeper into the dungeon.
Yeah, but now we're doing art, so it's fine. Also, the Frankensteinian stitching together of multiply and screen makes overlay as well as hard light and soft light. And hard light and overlay are exactly the same thing if you just swap the order of the layers. That was another thing, because I made a picture demonstrating
the order
that.
of the layers.
If you put an overlay layer on top of a normal layer, that's the same thing as putting the bottom layer on top and setting that to be hard light.
Sometimes I find a really good combination of layers and layer styles, and then I go to merge them, and it gets fucked up. Why does that happen?
That's because of alpha. Alpha does weird things. Yeah, all the things I'm saying, ignore alpha, because... Also, a lot of the time, if you were to have, for example, a multiplier layer darkening... If you were to say, okay, I've got a screen layer doing highlights, I've got a multiplier layer doing shadows, and underneath those is something normal, right? If you were to collapse together just the multiply and overlay, or multiply and screen, or whatever, then you wouldn't get the same image, because all of that processing is happening on top of the normal layer. You'd have to include the normal layer in the squashing, otherwise it wouldn't work, because now it can't separate the two things back out again. So usually what you're looking at is all of the layers combined, except in a few circumstances. So unless you flatten all of them together, things are going to go wrong. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, something. Alpha is just transparency. Don't worry about it.
It's all Greek to you, Chibi.
Yeah. It's rho, gamma, beta, alpha. Argos. Point being, when I first started taking digital art seriously, I thought, do you know what? I know maths. Let's work out how these things work.
Yeah, because it turns out everything your computer does is math. It's just very interesting ways of using ones and zeros to do things that don't look like ones and zeros.
Yeah.
Now that is what gives me a headache.
Well, that was the interesting thing, to see how overlay, hard light, and soft light all stitch together, multiply and screen differently. Because overlay was like, okay, let's just gradually move between one and the other. Well, it squashes them up into sort of half segments and then stitches them together where they're the same in the middle. Hard light does exactly the same thing, but it says, do you know what? Screw what's going on underneath. This is entirely dictated by what color you put on top of it, so you can get any color from any color, which is nice. That's why it's called hard light, because it does a strong job. If the color underneath is black, you can turn it into a white. That's fine. If it's white, you can turn it into a black. If it's pink, you can make it blue, etc. Soft light, however, just goes, do you know what? Screw that. We're not going to stitch this together. We're going to gradually just plasticine mold them all the way through. And as a consequence, you can't do an awful lot of change, but it's just very smooth and very nice. That's why it's called soft light.
Yep.
You're making Shakespeare Babadook.
I mean, I heard voodoo psychic, so it's just kind of like, fuck it. What do we associate with voodoo? Well, those big top hat things. Skulls.
Yeah. Baron Samedi.
But yeah. As we quickly try and change the subject, as everyone goes, no, numbers!
Yeah, they're making...
I mean, I understood some of it, so, like, wow, impressive.
They're making fish dragons in chat.
New 16 symbols boss. So is the 16 symbols boss the fish dragon or the math? Because, both would work.
A boss
just have a giant
math.
Yeah, just a giant binary beast that just adds things together and does weird things by adding. Because that's, if you get down to the bit level, that's essentially what your computer is doing for everything. It's just inventive ways of doing addition.
Yeah. Math.
Your computer is a boss.
I'm gonna be honest, I love you all. I'm not listening. That's fair, miss. That's absolutely fair.
I like this look with a poofy skirt and a top hat.
Yeah.
Oh, the one thing I did learn though is what I wanted to do is I wanted to try and translate the layer styles, because they all work by changing red, green, and blue values, which is what your pixels are on your screen. They're red pixel, well, red subpixel, green subpixel, blue subpixel, and it's just how much is that on. to make a color. And what I wanted to do, ooh, fancy. What I wanted to do was try and translate it into the more useful, in my opinion, hue, saturation, and value. Hue telling you what color it is, saturation telling you how vibrant the color is, and value telling you how bright it is. Unfortunately, it turns out that in order to translate between red, green, and blue, and RGB and HSV, or HSI, HSB, there's various different versions, you have to do like piecewise 6-dimensional transformations, and it's far too complicated to turn a formula from one to the other.
That sounds like not worth it.
You've got to transform cylinders into hexagonal prisms, and not hexagonal prisms. It's like, I can't remember what shape it is. It's like a dodecahedron or something, and it's just, there's a way to do it smoothly. Well, not smoothly. There's going to be kinks, obviously. You're turning a polyhedron into a sphere or a cylinder.
Obviously.
But it's a mess. So I never ended up doing that.
If you make a projection from one type of representation to another, there's always going to be weirdness. That's why maps don't accurately show the globe, because you're taking something that's on a spherical plane and you're trying to make it into a rectangular plane. So information is going to get lost and or stretched. That's
It's all math square. If that's just a thing.
Is all math what? Sorry.
A square.
No. Unfortunately.
A rectangle.
That's the problem. Is, well, if you're willing to accept infinitely
it can all be
many,
modeled. It can all be modeled on squares if you make it small enough.
If you're willing to accept infinitely many of them, then yes, infinitely many, infinitely small ones, because that's essentially calculus.
Pixels is calculus. Pixels is art.
Yeah.
IM and vision.
If you make squares small enough, you can't tell the difference between the square and a smooth thing. You know, if your resolution on your TV screen's good enough, or your computer screen, you're not going to see the pixel. It's fine. That's calculus, basically. The simplest description of like a limit I've ever, bothered to come up with. But here we are.
And continuing to build the castle.
Yes, for Mrs. Cat. It's nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rock this look.
But it is, last note, it is nice to know that one of the biggest advances in relatively modern mathematics, it was 18th century or something, 17th? Calculus? I can't remember. It's nice to know that is, if you actually boil it down, it's essentially, this is hard, rectangles aren't hard, let's use those, let's just approximate with those and see how it works. And that's essentially what it is. It's just do rectangles until it works.
Yeah. And then eventually we went, hey, turns out humans are bad at keeping track of lots of rectangles, but computers don't care. So we'll just have them make many rectangles. And that's where numerical analysis comes in. Just so much rectangles.
Give Luna a wing, a one-winged cat. What? That is a Final Fantasy character. One-winged cat.
Just flies in circles.
I mean, I could probably try and give this character hero wings,
But yeah, that's
fantasy.
That was the other thing I was saying, is that similar to the idea of trying to project a sphere into a rectangle, i.e. make a map of the Earth, that's also why you can't have a particularly sensible 2-coordinate system of referring to Earth. So, like, we've got north, east, south, west. That's nice. Up, down, left, right, basically. But there's only so far you can go north, and if you go east far enough, you're now going west, kind of. It doesn't quite work the way you like. And you can have different coordinate systems, but there's always going to be something slightly wrong about them, because
they mean it. Okay. Sorry, I said, like, oh, we're going to give people wings. It's like, no, they mean wing of the castle.
Yeah, wing of the castle. Yeah. I was just
erase this.
You can give him the wing. I'm not going to stop you. I made a James Bond girl out of a Morris dancer. Like, we're not.
True.
We can do what we like.
This is a Bond girl, by the way.
I mean, watch a movie with this Bond girl. Yeah, go kick ass in long goth skirts and
Yeah.
throwing decks of cards at people.
The Earth, as we all know, is flat.
Okay, so Chivy's like, we want a wing, so okay, we'll add the wing back.
Yeah, but what shape is it? It says flat. They haven't specified the boundary. Maybe it's a fractal. The Koch snowflake. Infinite perimeter.
Go south far enough, you find sea monsters. Yeah. They've got to.
Do you mean penguins?
They've got to do something while they're stuck down there at the Antarctic.
Killer whales are pretty much sea monsters.
Yes. They are mean buggers.
They are mean, beautiful creatures.
Just throw hexagonal tiles.
No! Death by tessellation. Yes, that video you shared was very nice, of the different sort of pentagonal tilings and stuff.
Okay, now we've got a
Even if Twitter showed it to me really small.
fluffy wing.
This is a nice wing.
Good. I like how somehow both of us had to draw Bond girls, and we have both just sort of ignored the face a bit until it's too late. Yeah. Everything else is in place.
I mean, faces are hard though. Like eyes, jeez.
Mm.
Just make him lines
That's why,
and dots.
yeah, that's why Christi started with the eyes. Narwhals are cool.
Nope. How do you draw a smirk?
Many times until it looked like a smirk.
Look at any DreamWorks and/or Illumination characters.
Nope, that's not Worf. Nope. Yeah, we'll just leave it.
They also have a raised eyebrow. Faceless Bond girl. Oh, I'd love that. Just like a perfectly ordinary James Bond film, but there's just this character with just no face and no one talks about it. Just looming in the background constantly. Like it cuts to them as if there's dialogue, but they're actually standing perfectly still, and the other person responds as if there was dialogue. I think I've made an SCP.
Following people around.
Just a faceless character who haunts James Bond films.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Here's my fancy solitaire.
Yeah.
I did get the literary one first, so this is the only picture. It's a painting.
That looks nice.
But this is the Jane Seymour version.
Okay.
That looks different.
Very culturally inappropriate.
Is Jane?
Yeah, I was about to say.
I have to watch the movie because I tried to find out if they were going for her passing as like Asian or something, or a specific culture, but I just couldn't find anything.
If your starting point is voodoo medium psychic, you've probably you're not going to be sensitive at any point, really.
Yeah, and this sort of confuses me because it's like I don't know what they were going for with this, but the style of the jewelry and headdress sort of reminds me of, I think it's Taiwanese, like some formal Taiwanese fashion. And
I think there's a lot.
Hoodoo is from an entirely different continent.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is this Argos?
Taiwan.
Is this with the peacocks and stuff, right? Yeah, this is Argos.
Yeah, just covered in eyes.
Oh, actually, you occasionally you do get something. So if you've ever seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, with the sort of classic look of the sort of loaf hair and the red robe and all that sort of stuff. Apparently, the costume designer for that film was Japanese and had never seen anything to do with Dracula, so they were just like, "I'll do whatever I want." And so there's just a very sort of
Amazing.
Japanese inspiration for a lot of the outfits in that film. So sometimes stuff like that works out really well. Other times, points at screen, it doesn't.
Voodoo
Well,
psychic. Oh,
I
boy.
like your one-winged voodoo ace.
Yeah, because like, so the thing with like voodoo and houdon and however there's the different words actually refer to different aspects of the like religion and whatnot. Like people practice that, so you can find people live in like Louisiana where it's just kind of like, no, this is just part of their cultural practices. So yeah.
Yeah, no, this one. Oh, I forgot one of the best things. She is clairvoyant. She does have magical powers.
Oh, what?
But she loses them if she doesn't continue to be a virgin.
Okay, so basically she loses them by the end of the movie because we know how this goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, to miss in answer to your query and or plea, I hope so. He's not a pleasant character. Yeah. Well, that's that.
It certainly is. I'm sorry, just the description I had.
No,
to.
I love the fact that that tells you so much more about Fleming than it does about the character. It's like, oh, this strange person who does not like the company of men. Ooh, she must be very peculiar. Let's call her Solitaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Fleming, you strange person. Right. Okay. I guess. I'm drawing a thing now. I'm drawing.
Yes.
I have already forgotten the wiki.
Animaniacs.
Animaniacs, not Madagascar. Right. I have an Animaniac.
Yes, and you have Baloney the dinosaur.
Fantastic. Dinosaur sausage. Got it.
Baloney is a large dinosaur who is a parody of the character from Barney and Friends. So Barney the dinosaur, that was an American kids cartoon, or not cartoon, live action thing in the 90s. A large orange dinosaur with an aqua belly and aqua spikes. Baloney is happy, huggy, loves to sing. He is oblivious to certain situations, still managing to be positive and happy, such as when the Warner siblings dropped anvils on his head and pretended that he ran out of oxygen in space.
Aww.
So yeah, Animaniacs, especially during its original run, did a lot of parodies of a lot of different shows that were on at the time.
Well, that was kind of the point, wasn't it? They had a very sort of meta feel to them.
Yeah. There was a lot of them, like including one short that I remember very distinctly where they parodied the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was very big at the time. Form of a platypus. But yeah, Baloney is one of those.
Oh my god, yes, Chris.
Yakko apparently describes him as having the color of an international house of pancakes.
What?
Yeah.
That is
Big fat plesiosaur dinosaur who's the color of an international house of pancakes.
I would just like to point out that if you happen not to know that is the name of a restaurant chain,
Yeah.
that does sound like a weird sentence.
I only know IHOP because of Karina.
Yeah, IHOP is only something I very recently found out. Well, I'd heard of IHOP, but I didn't know I didn't know that it stood for anything.
I mainly find it funny that it's the International House of Pancakes, but I'm not aware of any locations of it outside of North America.
It's like the World Series. It's great.
So it's okay, international.
The International House of Crepes.
You know, it's
Ooh, that's something I've been thinking about. American pancakes are like these thick, fluffy discs, right?
Yeah.
we're getting onto this conversation again.
Or crepes. That's called pancakes over here. That is a pancake. What is it in Britain?
Apparently it depends. I would call a crepe a pancake. That's what I thought of as pancakes until I found out about the American versions. But apparently there are other people in Britain who think that the fluffy ones are called pancakes. So typical Britain, no consistency.
Are the toast sausages too?
There's lots of sausages.
It's baloney. Oh dear.
This
So
is
we
a
got-
good mascot.
Yes, this is adorable. I sort of like yours better than the actual baloney, which is slightly terrifying to look at.
Originally, I was going to do an actual dinosaur that's just made of sausages, but then when you said it's Barney, I'm like, okay, got to make it happy. And although I do like the idea of like a Barney the dinosaur parody where it is just an actual dinosaur and it's just like kids, sitting by it going yay and clapping, and it's just destroying the studio. No, that's not how you do that. Go away. You don't have to
I'm
press.
pretty sure someone has
Yay,
done that. At some point.
resizing.
Yay, trying to make the tools do what we want them to do.
No, I'm just used to having to sort of press accept whenever I resize something in Clip Studio. And in this, it's just fine. You don't have to. So whenever I hit enter, it brings up the chat. And I'm like, I don't want to chat. I'm chatting now.
Whenever
Chibi.
this happens,
Oh.
it's because I use Procreate and I'm used to touching the screen to do everything.
That's fair.
Britons can't be battered to have a consistent opinion on pancakes.
Well.
That's a groaner from Chib.
Now I want pancakes. I'm hungry.
But yeah, if you were to ask me to make pancakes, I would end up making what you would call crepes. So that's my input here.
I've just been wondering because it's confusing. Who says what?
Yeah, we've had this conversation. Actually, was it? No, it was flapjack, wasn't it? That there's like 7 different things that are called flapjack,
Oh,
including pancakes.
It's all about region variant.
Thing is,
I could play the show Flapjack.
pancake makes sense because pancake is just, hey, it's the thing you make in a pan. And I say thing, I don't say cake, because the word cake is another one of those ones that's just like, what's a cake? That's going to change from place to place. And also, you tend not to really make them in a pan. Make them in a... Anyway, make them fluffy and chunky with blueberries. Yeah, see, I make them thin and... I was going to say crispy, they're not crispy. If they're crispy, you've overdone them.
Unless you like that. I like the crispy.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I guess it sort of depends on what sort of crepe you're making. Like, if it was a crepe I was feeling with, like, savory cheese stuff, sure, but I don't know if I'd want crispy bits on a crepe that I'm planning on filling with, like, cream cheese and blueberries.
Yeah. I usually make them crispy on the edges and eat the edges while the remaining pancakes are being done.
I don't think I've ever had a savoury pancake. I only ever have sweet ones.
I think
The
Mrs.
pancakes are good. Aww.
Mrs. judging Kiro and I on biscuits, which is funny.
Biscuits, at the very least, have to be something that's baked twice. That's literally what the name means.
Oh.
Bis is twice. And quit, I guess, is cooked, is a similar sort of derivation. So it should be something at least hard. Bologna!
Yeah, so...
Is it bologna spelled like... I'm assuming it's bologna spelled like this, as opposed to,
Yes.
bologna.
It is spelt like that.
All right.
It's Baloney, the dinosaur.
Maloney! Not bothered over biscuits. I like biscuits. I like my biscuits. So some people have attempted to describe American biscuits as scones, but that's not quite right, is it?
I've been
Slightly.
wanting
sort
to
of
make
depends-
American biscuits lately. They sound delicious.
I want to try it.
It also sort of depends on the biscuit because there's more than one type really.
Oh, good.
The southern biscuits I'm used to are
I thought this
again
was
another thing where it's like
I was worried this
you
was
could do
getting
it
too
savory
simple.
or sweet.
Yeah, I say
Yeah.
scones, not scones. That's, again, another regional thing.
Okay, so I've got two pictures here. One is in color.
No. Okay.
That's a face.
That's quite a... It's quite a... Yeah. I can see the parody going on. Well, that's not...
Yeah, and it goes even further than that. There's the
Zoom in.
I like the sausage.
this is the Baloney and Kids logo, and let me see if I can bring up the Barney.
I love tubes. You love meat.
Okay, yeah, I have found the Barney and Friends logo. Let me.
Is that the worst joke I've made? Like, ever? I love tubes, you love meat.
Maybe.
Okay, there's the Barney and Friends logo that it's parodying.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay then.
There's Baloney and Kids, and there's Barney and Friends. It's definitely not. You know, if it weren't for the fact that this is just a brief entry in another cartoon, explicitly designed as parody, you know, borderline copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Look at the ampersand.
Yeah,
Probably wouldn't go today.
It's not really an ampersand, is it?
but it's Animaniacs, and they will parody just about everything.
I'm already in the dungeon, miss. You can't put me more in the dungeon.
We're already in the dungeon doing maths.
Actually, there probably is some complicated mathematical way I could be more in the dungeon. But let's not get into that. I'm countably in the dungeon. Can I get, densely in? Builds a dungeon inside the dungeon. Yeah, I got a special double dungeon. Nested
Fractal
dungeons.
Dungeon. Woo.
There's dungeons all the way down. Right, let's do split screen. How are we going to do this? Can do it like this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, then I guess the question is who's getting which wikis since we've all done each of ours once.
I feel like Animaniacs is going to be at the bottom. Whoever gets that. Should we do it the way we did it first? Which was something. So I guess I get Christi. I get James Bond. Christi gets Animaniacs, and Ragdoll gets Stargate. Okay, I better randomly generate a thingy-mabob. Because that's how these streams work. Nest of Dungeons sounds like Dark Souls. It does.
Dungeons within dungeons within dungeons.
Dungeons in dungeons in dungeons.
Fractal dungeons.
That's not a person, that's a laboratory. I'm going to ask you to draw a laboratory.
I mean, me and Ragdoll have things pulled up.
Yeah, but you share information. That's fine. I'll continue finding something good.
And
I
something that isn't just a
already
dungeon.
forgot who got what.
I am drawing. I have also forgotten. I am drawing Bond because I did Morris Dancer, didn't I?
Yes. And
So-
I will be doing a Stargate.
I'm going to be here.
and Christi will be doing an Animaniacs. So, I
So
guess
give me
Christi,
an
if you want.
Animaniacs, please.
All right. So you get another parody that doesn't have quite as large of a page. You get Beaver and Hoghead.
Okay then.
Yes, you do.
Who are guest parodies in Animaniacs who are parodying Beavis and Butthead, which was a kind of gross him out cartoon from the 90s. God, I don't remember when that show came out. I did not watch it, so couldn't tell you much about Beavis and Butthead beyond just the dumb humor.
So I
But
gotta
yeah,
draw gross, and it's
yeah, so
exaggerated.
Yeah, Beaver and Hoghead. I will say part of the style for that show was that everyone just had really, really big heads.
Okay.
And that's present here in their parody.
So one of them's a hog, and the other one was what now?
Beaver.
Beaver.
Yeah, I didn't really watch the show. It's just sort of one of those things that I was aware of because it was hard to not be aware of it. Especially when all of the elementary school boys decided that they were going to be like, oh, we're edgy and cool. We like Beavis and Butthead. And it's like, you're in elementary school. You're like 10. You're not edgy and cool. You're 10.
Okay, this isn't a character, but I would just like to point out that there is a wiki page on Stargate Wiki, which is just juggling, and it has an animated GIF of O'Neill and Teal'c juggling in the episode we were talking about earlier, and I love it.
Nice.
Let's place that in there. Is that going to work? No, it doesn't work. Oh well. Oh no, screens. I need to find a thing. Yes, what am I bonding?
You are bonding Dr. Beckman.
Dr. Beckman.
Dr. Beckman was a fictional scientist associated to Stromberg Shipping. A minor character, he appeared in the 1977 James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me, portrayed by the late British actor Cyril Shapps.
Okay, so just okay.
A doctor, mid-50s scientist, status deceased, blown up in helicopter.
Okay, fantastic. So he's debris. Got it.
He's a henchman.
Just draw a splat on the ground. Helicopter on.
Can do. Well, I finally got one. I finally got a good one. And you may remember this one, Ragdoll.
Oh no.
You have Aris Boch, or Bosch, or Boch. I don't know. Is this in Dutch? He is a bounty hunter. He's how can I describe him? He looks like your kind of stereotypical douchey sort of bounty hunter superhero kind of person, and I think he has been hired by the Gold. Well, he's a bounty hunter. There's a bounty out on Daniel, if I remember correctly, and he captures him, and yeah, he's just like this sort of beefy, sort of annoying idiot who thinks he's the hot shot, and he kind of is, but mainly because he just has a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this episode. I remember it, but Aris Boch has indeed himself. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Aris Boch has endeared himself to the Gold by being unscrupulous. He indiscriminately hunts both guilty and innocent, only caring about whether they have any trading value.
Pokemon, gotta catch him. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think I remember this particular episode, but I do distinctly remember Daniel. This being a thing that happens to him.
It happens a lot. Yeah, it's weird.
All right. What?
He gets like captured and like, yeah, he's the nerd of the group. So he gets captured a lot.
He's an archaeologist.
also gets married a lot, or at least
Yeah.
gets like engaged a lot, which is funny because that's also sort of the start of the plot with him. Because I believe he had like a wife that got captured by the gold and had a
Yeah.
thing stuck in her.
Yeah, she was a human, but I think she became a host for a gold. That's the film, isn't it? Well, that doesn't happen in the film, but he stays behind on the planet because he falls in love with the native, which is questionable. But that I think is the sort of spoilers for the film. Sorry.
Yes, spoilers for a film from the mid-90s.
Look, I've seen loads of film. I have not seen loads of films I want to see from like the 60s, and I'd rather not them be spoiled. So I'll practice what I preach, and apologize for spoilers after I've done them.
But yeah, he's that, and that pops up in the fandom as well a lot. There's if you can find, because a lot of it gets deleted for various reasons, old SG1 fic. There's a lot of that looks like Daniel got captured again. The old Hurt Comfort stuff.
Damn,
as revealed
Daniel.
The fact that he got captured again. Yeah, damn Daniel. Okay.
Why does it want to rotate sometimes?
Because why not? If it helps us in the film, marvelous. I'm not sure I've seen all of it. As is usually my way with films, I've seen bits of it.
I don't think I've seen all of it myself either. Because you don't really need to have watched the film to understand the series. Because the first episode does a pretty good job of like filling you in on what you need to know, as a good first episode should do.
I guess that's where that is. Sorry.
Yeah, like I said, there's some things that get like retconned between the movie and the TV show, some of which being actually important, some of which just being silly, some of which being lampshaded on, like O'Neill. And Chibi's now writing her Greek myth bounty hunter AU.
Big beefy bounty hunter Ares, who you call in for the muscle quick boy Hermes, who's good at stealing everything, regardless of how closely someone holds it. Partner of bounty hunters Apollo and Artemis. What are we talking about? We're talking about that. Carry on. Like it's a fun. I think that's kind of why there are two parts essentially to Stargate. There are, and I think we've briefly touched on this before. There are the silly one-off episodes, which usually are quite creative and have some funny or interesting sort of story beat. And then there are the big sort of main story components, but sort of littered throughout it is just a kind of fun framework on which you can build. Hey, this was a story from thousands of years ago. Let's try and work out how it fits into this universe. And it's just a kind of, it's almost sort of fanficky in a way, and there's something quite charming about it.
Oh yeah, like I said, the good episodes I enjoy. It's just that sometimes again, you got that problem of after something goes for so long, it's like, I think we've run out of ideas. And I think I don't know when they ran out of ideas, but I'm pretty sure they ran out of ideas definitely by the time they get to Universe. Jesus.
That was just,
or at least,
Lost is popular. Let's do that.
Yeah. But I'd argue that they were definitely sort of scrambling for something by the time they got to Atlantis with the now granted the space vampires as like how they worked was sort of interesting, but yeah, it got a little weird.
Did they shimmer in sunlight, or I don't care?
Did they ever go outside in that show?
I don't know, because I want to say they were mostly hopping between bases on planets.
Because it constantly feels like they're in a set on that show. Also, they're not based on mythology. They're just the Wraith, I believe they're called.
Yeah.
But it's called, it's Stargate Atlantis, so there's going to be something there. It's literally Atlantis, but also it's on the other side of the galaxy. No, it's in a different galaxy, isn't it?
Yeah, and also there's vampires.
Far away.
Because that's the point. They can't really go back, can they? Oh no, that might have been the one where they have the sort of body swap leave. Because they can't physically return, but they can mentally somehow. I don't know.
That sounds like a Rick and Morty.
Yeah, but it's a completely different sort of show. Different cast and.
I mean, Chibi, we're mostly just impressed you're able to make it here at all on account of your organ mutiny happening.
I was just freaking impressed that, like, people who go through that, I always just wonder how. Like, I wouldn't be able to be in so much pain and not, like, call 911.
Yeah, just like now knowing that it was appendicitis, I'm like, Jibby, what?
I have a stomach ache. Yeah.
If I experienced anything like that at all, I would immediately be calling someone. Like, you dealt with it for like 5 days. How does that work? How strong is the chib?
So strong.
Yeah, I'm also sort of wondering about that because I got a UTI earlier in the year, and that one, it was just kind of like, for the first like hour or so, it was like, okay, well, maybe it's period cramps. I'll just take a thing and then rest. And then after an hour or so, it was like, okay, this is not. And I immediately went to the urgent care place because it was like, I don't really want to go over to the hospital because it's further. So let me go to the urgent care place first and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was within the day of it happening because it was just kind of like, nope, we're not dealing with this. We're not dealing with this. We're just not.
You got really sick like 3 weeks ago, yeah. Like that might have been there might have been an inflammation that then eventually led to the burst, as it were. But even then, like a lot of people, their appendicitis is just the inflammation, and they never get to the bursting stage. It's like you went all the way through the whole process.
It was a hawk and a
beaver.
Beaver. I have no clue what beavers look like, actually. Do they have, like, dog noses? They do now.
They got big old teeth.
Big old teeth.
Big old front teeth. For chomping on some wood. Whoops, I think I made an unnecessary layer.
Give this guy some armor. He's a bounty hunter in space.
Anyway, cut a long story short. Chib Stronk.
Chib Stronk.
The appendix was like, oh, I'm gonna ruin this person's time. And Chib was like, no. I'm gonna ignore you.
No. Oh wait, I'm drawing cute again. Whoops.
Of us would complain if you made a picture that was cuter than the actual thing. Yes, Jib very strong. Appreciate the Jib.
Yeah, no, I have, bad health anxiety, just in general. So just that, yeah, the idea, even just the inkling that, like, oh, I have this abdominal pain. It might be this. I'm gonna get it checked out immediately. But then again, I am, I do have the unfair advantage of not having to deal with a lot of things that people born with sort of female reproductive system have to deal with. So
Yeah, a lot of
it's like.
times it's just like, oh, it's just that, and it's, oh, whoops, it wasn't.
yeah.
Well, and it
So-
doesn't help that mine at least happened like a couple days before I was expecting my uterus to go, well, time to bleed on everything you love.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, oh, no, it wasn't that.
I think if your uterus is bleeding on everything you love, you know, what was it? Is it hysteria? The idea of the wandering womb. If you're getting blood on everything you love, that's an extraordinarily, that womb is a traveler. Like they've got hiking boots.
Just decided to pop out and paint the walls.
Paint the town.
Not sure that's what that phrase means, but it doesn't. That's what's going to pop into my head now whenever anyone says it.
Sorry.
That's what it means now.
That's what it means
That's
now.
what it means now.
Oh no. Can it not?
Yeah, see, and it looks like Chibi had the same issue. So it's like a fourth of the year. It's just kind of like, well, is this a normal thing, or is this a thing I need to get checked? And especially since a lot of those organs are all sort of in the same area. I mean, the main reason I noticed it was different is because, one, it lasted too long. 2, it was sharp instead of dull. 3, it was on the side instead of in the middle. And it's like, right, that's not where the uterus is.
I would like to say to be careful about calling your typical uterus pain dull, because by the sounds of it, it's got, it's enthusiastic, so that sounds like a challenge. Sounds like, oh, I'm dull, am I? Well. Yeah, like I said, I guess, I have that sort of paranoia, but that paranoia is a product of being very lucky in many ways. If you never have to deal with these problems when they come along, you're gonna freak out. But the flip side of that is you didn't have to deal with the problems, so.
Yep.
I consider myself lucky for just having the anxiety and not the problems. So what I can do is instead show support and try and understand the other people who do have problems and how to help. At least I can do.
And that is so freaking valuable.
Literally, well, it's not literally the bare minimum I can do. Well, yeah.
Have you seen other people?
It's the bare minimum I can do. There's a lot of people who don't get to the doing part. A lot of lists of symptoms of hurt appendix didn't list throwing up and did list fevers, which you didn't have. That's also a problem. Statistical likelihood of symptoms. It's all a bit of a guess in general. Most of medicine and biology is just a bit of a. Well, it's probably ... statistical likelihood ... Even medical tests they've all got false positives and false negatives, and you'd be surprised if you actually look into the statistics of how those things work, you can be like, oh, this test is 1%, has a 1% failure rate. But that means if you get a positive result, there might be a 10% chance that it's wrong. And the statistics works weird when it comes to things like that, because it depends on what the probability you had the thing in the first place. Bayesian statistics, it's all a bit weird.
If your two populations are not the same size, then if you've got significantly fewer people in category A than category B, then finding out you have, I have C thing happened, well, there's more of that in one category than the other, percentage-wise, but number-wise, there's more of that in the other category, and now everything is confused.
Yeah, that's the...
This is why I
statistic.
use raw frequencies and not probabilities when I'm teaching my biology majors how probability works.
Hey.
That way they will actually understand it. Instead of going stick the numbers in the buttons and have them go boom.
Stick the numbers in the buttons and have them go boom.
That's sometimes what they do anyway. The number of people who have told me, yes, the proportion of them happening is 5. It's like, okay, 1, that's not a proportion. 2, there's a little e to the -7 there, which means the decimal has been moved over 7 times.
That's a little bit off. You're only
Just
like a factor of
off.
10 million. It's fine. Oh no. Got to understand what the numbers you're messing around with mean, and what you've just done to them.
Yep. Gonna give this guy a face scar.
Yeah, I like Kira said, throwing up all day and the intense pain were the biggest things that made my mum realise that something was wrong. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, that's not usually normal.
Not
usually if you're throwing up, it's because something's gone a little funky.
Yeah. Can I this is a very weird question, and feel free not to ask. Not to answer. Well, I should feel free not to ask, really. Like, is throwing up a common occurrence for you? Is it a thing?
For people with
just in general, just people.
No, not me.
No.
Motion. So, yes, but I can avoid it pretty easily.
Yeah, there's a circumstance which causes it that there's a sort of mechanism behind it.
Yeah, pretty much the only 2 cases where it happens is 1, motion sickness, which I can avoid fairly easily, especially if I'm the one driving. But also I get seasonal allergies, so I have this runny nose, phlegmy problem that pops up every so often, which means first thing in the morning I get a lot of drainage during those times, and that's the time of the year where I put off eating breakfast for a while.
Yeah.
But again, that's easily avoidable, so...
Yeah, no, it's not common. It's not common, there's always a reason for it,
It's not a thing that just happens.
Yeah, I just remember when I was... I guess... The international equivalent would be at college age thing. I just had several friends, who just it was just normal that at least once a week they would throw up, and it's just like, am I weird? Am I weird for not throwing up? Am I weird?
Sounds like they were stressed or something. Oh my goodness.
I mean, several of them did, they partied hard, and that's understandable. But, yeah, it's just a weird... It's just, I haven't thrown up, probably in this half of my life. Maybe since single-digit age. And that might be exceptional, but it's also probably because I don't really do anything to warrant it. But...
I mean, unless you do very intense sports or something, I think that's normal.
Yeah. Believe it or not,
for people with no health issues.
I don't do that. Believe it or not, intense sports not my thing. Can you throw up when you're sick?
Yeah,
No. I don't really get sick, to be honest.
Me neither.
Yeah, the only things I could see with that is like again
rough.
illness, because sometimes when you're ill, your body just kind of goes, let's just yeet everything out and hope for the best. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Or like again, intense sports, partially because that's sometimes a symptom of a head injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Usually, if you're barfing, that's because something has gone funky and your body is trying to unfunk it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. To me, I'm like, oh, good. I haven't thrown up in like a decade, but there's just that feels odd, you know? It feels strange.
It depends on a lot of things, I think. There's a lot of people that throw up when they get their period and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, nausea. Nausea
Yeah.
is sometimes a thing.
Again, I'm still, you know, very fortunate to not have to deal with all that. So.
But also, it's not normal. It's normal in that it occurs a lot.
It's frequent.
But it does mean that something is wrong.
Yeah. Frequent, not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually if your periods are bad enough that you're experiencing nausea to the point of throwing up regularly, that's a case of like, hey, let's check on that.
Yeah, because there's all sorts of things. There's endo also, you know, get that checked out. Mm-hmm. All these things that only recently in medical history people have actually bothered looking into, because you know it's there's just women, they're hysterical, they're complaining. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if the room wanders, does it surprise you throw up?
Oh, it's just, you know, it's filming it on a camera or something. It's a wicked womb. It's not a pleasant character.
The wicked womb of the West.
The wicked womb of the West. Can we?
I don't know
like,
what's wrong with me today.
There's like
that's a sentence.
An art house version of like, you know, the Wizard of Oz, all centered around like the reproductive cycle or something. In the wicked womb of the West is definitely. Oh dear. You know, us women all weak as hell. Exactly. I know. First sign, you know, just a little bit of appendicitis, and you've suddenly got to get medical attention. I know, it's just terrible.
I'm
done, by the way.
I'm also done. I have been done for like 10 minutes. Because
I'm drawing the wicked womb of the West.
Okay. Rightly so. Sorry, when I said I've been done for 10 minutes, I don't mean that as if to say, well, I've been done 10 minutes. I mean that to say my drawing is really basic. So.
I drew something wrong, couldn't resize it, and make it into something kind of funny, I think.
If a man got appendicitis, he'd just die like a real man. That's...
all things considered, yours has probably got better proportions than the actual picture. So just heads up with that.
I did try to make it extreme, but you're probably right.
I hope mine doesn't.
I can assure you it's not as extreme as the actual picture.
Oh, it's bubble hits.
It's the sort of Animaniacs sort of style. It's not going to be full-on exaggerations. Do you want to scroll up to baloney?
Yeah. True.
Okay, we ready to reveal?
Zoom out.
Gonna zoom out.
Basic my butt.
Oh, my word. Well, I like that you gave the Wandering Womb a wit. Oh yeah, because it's wicked womb.
The Wandering Womb of the West.
The Wandering Womb of the West. I guess it also makes sense that you sort of tied it with a cowboy character from the Wild West, the Wandering Wild Womb of the Wild West.
Little tornado here. There we go.
Amazing.
Okay,
I'm gonna. I don't like the combination of the words womb and twister. That doesn't. It's unpleasant.
Yeah, I don't think I want my womb doing twister.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to show two pictures.
Oh,
Here, so what I said about, regardless of how extreme you made it, it's not extreme enough.
Yeah.
I thought big head, not long.
Yeah. I see the Beavis and Butthead. I see what they're going for with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just going to show real quick. This is, you don't have to put this on screen if you don't want to, Chris, but I do want Christy to see what it's parroting here, so she gets an idea of why the heads are that, because it's a lot. Oh, why is this taking so long?
Also, look at that pig's butt.
Yeah,
That's a pose.
It's almost at the same height as the shoulders. It's quite interesting. That's quite, if anyone here is into yoga, just when I say if,
It's doing that. Oh my god.
that is quite. I mean, that's a strong abdominal. There's some muscles involved in doing that.
Yes,
why did it make it so ugly? I don't like it.
It is odd that the cartoonish pastiche of Beavis and Butthead is less ugly than the original.
That's what happened. Like, that's apparently what people think people want when they watch adult cartoons.
Yeah.
I don't understand it myself.
No.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair,
but yeah,
it is dumb. The show is dumb. It knows it's dumb. It's not trying to be arty or anything. It is very much
lowest common denominator.
I was going to say those exact words. It's maths. Oh, hello. You look familiar, actually.
This is Mr. In Pieces Explodey Helicopter Dude.
Who is he? I know him from something.
Yeah, he does look
Cyril
familiar.
Sheps was the actor's name.
Chips. No, I'm no good with actors, so I couldn't tell you where I've seen him from. I mean, who knows? That maybe I've seen him from this movie, because I have seen a couple of Bond films. Chibi knows what's going on. Adults only like ugly things, murder, and sex.
Yeah.
And taxes. You forgot that.
I love taxes.
Adults do taxes, and that's all we do.
Sorry, what was the actor's name, sorry?
Cyril Sheps with a C, Cyril, and Sheps with an S.
Hang on, is he...
He was in Lawrence of Arabia?
Oh, I just noticed a little missile in the background of your picture, Chris.
Yeah, he's having a lovely little helicopter flight. It's his day off. And there's a missile heading towards his...
Great. Oh, and a smiley. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, do I know him from Porridge?
You captured him quite well. I mean, he has more of a beard than a mustache, but damn.
That's not what I'm thinking of. I do know him from Porridge, actually, which is a sitcom.
I was thinking you were gonna explain.
What else? Oh yeah, sorry. I should probably share. Hunko McBounty Hunter. Beans.
Oh.
Oh, I was right to give him pauldrons.
It's a Dolph Lundgren kind of dude.
He looks like he LARPs.
Yeah, he's a LARPer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He looks like he LARPs and is just way too into it.
What are you doing, bro? Kind of his face.
I'm still trying
to... He does look like an Aries.
He was in Tomb of the Cybermen, still not that. He worked for 2 years as an announcer, producer, and scriptwriter for Radio Netherlands.
What?
It's all connected.
The world is connected.
Yep.
Who?
On a big sphere.
What was he in? This is really annoying. This is the best.
Is he holding a sickle or a boomerang, Ragdoll?
Oh,
Your-
that was me attempting to draw a Zat from memory. I don't think I did very good.
I get it. I get it. I see what's going on.
I think they're a bit more. The ends are a
Zatnik.
bit more like this.
It's Zatnik Tel, I believe it's called. Apparently he is immune to them. Zatnik Tel, which looks
Nice.
like this.
Oh.
Yeah, so you draw a squiggle, and that's a gun.
Draw a squiggle. It's a gun. It shoots lasers. Well, it shoots electricity.
Holy crap.
And it's one of those weird things where it's like 1 will stun you, 2 shots will kill you, 3 disintegrates your body. It's like a weird rule.
That they don't bother to follow because, you know.
Absolutely not.
Don't click the wrong button. We're gonna interrogate this hostage. Whoops, disintegrate button.
Oh. Christi, I like your little friends much better than the
Yes,
beaver and
Thank you.
hoghead.
absolutely.
Because
started
even
with
your
the
pig,
hoghead.
yeah, even your pig, which is a little upsetting because that's just sort of what pig faces look like, is less upsetting than the actual.
I thought upsetting, give it wrinkles and small beady eyes.
Yeah. But the beaver is very cute.
Yeah, I kind of forgot when I got to the beaver. I just tried to remember what a beaver looked like and drew that. So
That's good.
It is very cute. It looks like got it. What were those children's books from when I was a kid? Did you guys ever have Beatrice Potter? Did you guys ever
I've heard of
have
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Peter Rabbit books?
Yep.
He looks like he just sort of popped out of one of those Beatrice Potter books in his cute little outfit, going off to have tea with his aunt or something.
Aw, thank you.
Didn't I make you draw a pig in the last round of
Yeah.
when we did courage?
When it was these 3 kind of canvases as well, I drew a pig scaling the weird
Yeah.
3rd one.
Yes, you drew the butcher pig.
Yeah. Which I heard a spy for some reason.
Sorry, I'm being very unentertaining and still trying to work out where on earth I recognise this guy from. What's he from? It's really annoying.
As you scramble around.
I mean, Wandering Room is the hero of this piece.
Hero or villain?
Depends on whose perspective the story is told from.
Yes.
It's like Deadpool. They're an anti-hero.
Who is he?
Yeah, Chivy's right. It'll probably come to you when you least expect it, probably 20 minutes after stream ends. Just like after you do an exam, and 20 minutes after the exam you go, well, that's how you answer that question.
Yeah. Why? It's funny he's the same guy from Power Rangers, though. I didn't put that together with whatever I'm thinking he's from.
So you know him from something, but you also know him from something else, and it's going to bother you.
He's been in multiple episodes of Doctor Who, but that's true of every English actor ever. I need to stop this because this is not entertaining. Okay. Cool. We need to ending tradition. So put everything on. There's Philippe. You can see Philippe in the corner just judging everything.
Yes.
There we go. Philippe is untouched. Going, what is
Because
this?
none of us drew in that corner.
And I like it says Christi and Ragdoll on 2 such people too.
And it's on the opposite ones that we drew.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Oh, bye, Chib. Thank you for coming
Bye,
along.
Chibi. Rest well. Feel better.
Rest much. Look after yourself. And have a good, less exploding in future. That's we hope.
Yes. Less exploding.
Less exploding. Also, stop that womb from wandering. It's a nuisance. Anyway, what a weird ending.
Really unusual?
Well, arguably, yes. See, this is what happens when we're not allowed to talk about maths. We end up talking about wandering wombs, the wandering womb of the West. And it's just, am I going to have to make a fact about that now?
I mean, that at least makes me laugh. Math doesn't.
True, yeah. You can laugh in the way that, you know, Lovecraft describes people who have seen Cthulhu laugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for doodling. It's been a good time. Sorry we spent so much of it talking about maths and me trying to work out who on earth this person is. It's annoying. This is the experience of watching Midsummer Murders. I don't know if you've watched Midsummer Murders, but it's a murder mystery thing in Britain. It's set in a sort of Middle England village town place called Midsummer. And
it's supposedly a small town, but it keeps introducing new people.
There are
how many people live in this village?
About 700 people have died at this point. So I don't know how many. But yeah, it's not a densely populated place. There's a lot of farmhouses and cottages and stuff. It's a relatively pleasant place, apart from all the killing. But the point being is that every actor who has ever done anything in Britain has been in it, because it just gets through.
More than once.
Orlando Bloom in one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
And some of those actors have been in there more than once. My dad watches it, and there was one episode where the two of the characters showing up who were like suspects in the murder were also victims of a murder in a previous episode. Well, at least the actors were. The characters were supposedly just like an aunt and cousin of those characters, and they lampshaded that in the episode with the inspector going, "You look familiar," and it's like, yes, same actor.
Wait, they ran out of actors.
That sounds about right, yeah. I mean, there was an episode recently with Bill Bailey in it. It's a good time. But yeah, and it's just this is the experience of watching that show. You see someone and go, "Where have I seen them before? I know I've seen them before," and you're not paying attention to the story at all. You're just trying to work out where you've seen that person before. And it's just constant. It's like,
and sometimes the answer to that is also Doctor Who.
Doctor Who has also gotten through quite a large selection of British actors. That face is it's annoying. I need to stop.
I'm so sorry, I'm torturing you.
No, it's not you. It's his face. It's that expression. It's something about that expression. Just making. Anyway, enough of this. Nobody wants to hear this. Thank you for joining me and doing Good Doodles. It's always a fun time.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go quiet now, and end the stream.
Bye, stream.
Bye.
Yeah. So thank you very much for watching and keeping me company and having a chat and enjoying our silly doodles. So on Tuesday we continue with 16 Symbols. That is the 16 Symbols theme tune, as we all well know. Yeah, and what's happening in 16 Symbols? Good question. We've got the medicine. We're all sat around the campfire having a chat about what we're going to do next and all that sort of stuff. So that's going to be fun, and we're definitely not going to get attacked by a giant robot. Yeah, so that's that. Then on Wednesday, more chicory. Saturday, maybe multiplayer games. Not sure. We'll have to look into it. Either way, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Hope you have many things go right for you and good happy times. Yeah. Look after yourselves. Do something nice. Maybe that's having something nice to eat. Maybe that's, going for a walk, or just, saying hi to someone you want to say hi to, or giving someone a hug. Do a good for you, as well as for others. Preferably both. That's always a nice. But hey, one or the other's good. Don't do one at the expense of the other. That's the point. Have a grand old time, everyone. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.